Donald Trump's so-called Alligator Alcatraz is making news today just as he hoped, but not for the reasons he was hoping for, and I have all the laughable and potentially dangerous details for you next. Let's begin with the Lex Luthor of Trump's sinister White House, Stephen Miller, as he describes the intent of the prison camp, a camp that some are calling Alligator Auschwitz with his usual swampy flair.
Not everybody is happy about this, however. Democrat state reps in Florida are going crazy about this. Watch.
Disgusting. What's happening in the Everglades isn't immigration enforcement. It's absolute political theater. What you are doing is dehumanizing. It's cruel. That is not enforcement. That's bullying.
Not enforcement. It's bullying. It's disgusting, and it's dehumanizing. Stephen.
Well, first of all, another answer to your question of why it's needed is there have been repeated multiple attempts by violent criminal aliens and cartel thugs to escape ICE detention, individuals who present a clear and present danger to public safety. Under President Trump's leadership, we are targeting 8 foreign terrorist organizations, including 6 Mexican drug cartels that threaten the foreign policy, the public safety, the national security of the United States. These are dangerous, ruthless organizations. A facility like this ensures the security of the officers who work there and ensures the security of the public, lest there be an attempted jailbreak. And again, we are dealing with the worst of the worst, the most heinous of the most heinous. And like you said, they still receive a quality of care that is superior to the quality of care provided with American jails for American citizens in many cases. And here's another very important point. What's dehumanizing is when American citizens are stripped of their rights and their liberties by the invasion of illegal aliens. What is dehumanizing is when Democrats let illegal alien rapists into the country to attack our children. That is dehumanizing. What reclaims our humanity is when we get these monsters off the street and we put them where they can't hurt anybody. And when they see the consequences for their conduct, they will begin and they will continue to self-deport and get back home to avoid what President Trump is going to deliver.
Terrorist cartels and monsters, and then the Swamp Thing weaponized one of the most frequently used words by critics, dehumanizing. Well, let's set the record straight, as we do here each day, with a critic who somehow speaks in a normal tone of voice from his normal-looking face. Enter Aaron Parnas.
I mean, sure it is, but I think that restricting basic human rights and civil liberties in the middle of a swamp, well, I mean, that's not really deterrent because a lot of the folks, I think a point that is really missed in all of this, a lot of the folks that are being detained and deported right now, they've never been charged with a crime. They've never been convicted of a crime. In fact, about 50% of those detained thus far have never been charged with a crime. Many of the people being detained are like a grandma, an Iranian grandma in Louisiana who had been in the United States for 47 years and was recently detained by ICE, or a 6-year-old kid with leukemia in California who was recently detained by ICE. These are the people that are being picked up. They are here legally. They are going through the process legally, getting asylum, getting green card, and they're getting picked up on the streets, and they're literally being taken to these facilities, which are just cruel and inhumane.
And that brings us to today's breaking story about Alligator Auschwitz. Let's pick it up from Jason Delgado, a political correspondent in Florida, who tweeted, "A good little storm passed over us here at Alligator Alcatraz. Here's what it looks and sounds like inside of one of these tents. The state says the sites here are rated to withstand a Category 2 hurricane, 120-mile-per-hour winds." And more recently, he posted, in a statement, the Florida Division of Emergency Management says they've taken action to address the water leak that happened Tuesday during a thunderstorm at Alligator Alcatraz. Overnight, the vendors went back and tightened any seams at the base of the structure that allowed water intrusion during the heavy storm, which was minimal. And the reactions did not disappoint. Ryan Flan said, "So Alligator Alcatraz is in a swamp. They used FEMA funds to build it right before hurricane season, aka wasted life-saving money for a concentration camp that probably will be wiped off the earth in 2 weeks when that hurricane comes." And Arizona in Blue posted, "Alligator Alcatraz is tense in a Florida marsh during hurricane season, and these people are laughing, joking, and selling merchandise for the people they plan to put here. These are human lives." Anyone with a television knows the damage that Florida hurricanes have done to houses and buildings made of steel, concrete, and lumber. And now Trump and DeSantis are gleefully showing off their concentration camp made of canvas. And before I used that phrase, I looked up the definition to make sure it applies, and it does. the internment of political prisoners or politically targeted demographics such as members of national or ethnic minority groups. And that phrase, ethnic minority groups, brings me to my main point. The people who will be at risk in those flimsy prisons and the people you will see in the photos and the videos in the weeks to come will be brown. You won't see illegal immigrants from Canada or the United Kingdom in Trump's propaganda films. That camp is built for people of color, and it won't be limited to terrorists, cartels, and monsters. You may have noticed that Donald Trump stopped talking about his wall. He realized that it's just an object and it lost its symbolic racist luster a long time ago. To better satisfy his dark soul and escalate the MAGA theater, he's going to now parade endless visuals of brown people in cages for the rest of his term. Dehumanizing is the perfect description of this act and his intent.